Welcome back to another edition of CHRISTalk. I am Minister EA, and tonight I have with me Coach James with Body by James, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation. We're calling this conversation Faith, Fitness, and Food, the ingredients for a sound mind. All right, the Bible says a person's body that does not have a spirit is dead. It is the same with faith. Faith that does nothing is also dead. And we find that in James, ironically, 2:26. And that is the easy to read version. All right. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
for coming.
Yeah.
We just met recently, and I thought it would be great to have a conversation about some of the components. Um, During this time of the year, there's a lot of focus on mental health. And there are all these different nuances to that subject. And so I wanted to focus on some of those other areas and not just be so specific about, okay, you have mental health issues, but how we might be able to address, how we might be able to cope, how we might be able to alleviate. And food, fitness, and faith all work in helping with our mental health. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And these are the conversations I love to have, because a lot of times when people sit down, whether it's mental health or any other issue, right, we'll talk about the issue itself. We'll talk about maybe all the negatives that come with that or what people are experiencing. But if you don't give people alternatives or solutions, what was the point of the conversation? Right, at the end of the day. So a lot of times we're spinning our wheels. So hopefully everyone that views this video will come away with things they can do to either combat the symptoms they're now experiencing or avoid them altogether.
All right. That sounds like a plan to me. All right. So when it comes to like nutrition, right, and mental health, how does maintaining a balanced nutritional diet impact someone's mental health?
Okay, so the example I like to use, and I know the last few years we've had a few different things going on in our day-to-day lives in society, but if you look at children, look at kids, children that tend to get a balanced diet, they tend to be able to regulate their emotions very well. They're not bouncing off the walls. They're not high and low. They don't look like they're on a sugar rush and then a crash and all these different things. A lot of times when people look at children and say they're acting out in school, maybe they can't focus, X, Y, Z, whatever the case may be. When you look at a child that has a balanced diet, that's getting their 3 square meals and then some, is eating fruits and vegetables versus potato chips all day and soda, you'll see very different behaviors in the two. And so a lot of things that we ascribe to bad behavior or not being able to control yourself is actually your body reacting to all the imbalances you're giving it every day.
So malnourishment will mess with the head.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Your brain can only use the fuel you give it.
Right. And there is no fuel in sugar.
None.
At least no mental fuel, right?
No.
All right. When it comes to like mental health and the nutrients that we place in, such as vitamin B, fatty 3 acids, vitamin D, and things of such, how do those components impact someone's mental health?
Okay, so again, like we talked about the highs and lows and the bouncing up and down. So literally, omega-3 fatty acids, we tend to think of them in terms of your joints, but they're literally a lubricant for your entire body.
Okay.
So they're actually a lubricant for the brain as well, right? We tend to forget how our brain is made up. But if you've ever seen an actual brain or just looked at in school and they had the little display, it's almost gelatinous, right? You could squeeze it with your hand. So the more of the omega-3 fatty acids it has, the more water you intake. That's why we need to take in water so regularly for our brain and our body. The more it's able to move and shake, constrict, send signals through your nerves the way it should, the less fluid it has to function, the more rigid it becomes. And that's why when you don't drink enough water or you don't have enough omega-3s, your thoughts get foggy.
Okay.
Right, you're at work and you're like, I can't finish. I don't know what's going on. I've been working on this project for 2 hours. Should have taken 20 minutes, right? Your brain doesn't have what it needs to send those signals back and forth.
That reminds me of something Dick Gregory said once. The first thing to go when you don't hydrate is the brain.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I like you
Absolutely.
saying that. So lubricating the brain with hydration and fatty acids. Now we know that a lot of the omega 3s, a lot of people always attribute them to fish. Are there any other ways to get omega 3 fats?
There are, but truthfully, fish is the best way.
Okay.
Right. So if you're a person that has seafood allergies, I honestly would recommend to that person to go get the omega 3 fatty acid pills.
Okay.
Or if you can take the liquid is not pleasant. So if you want to put it in your smoothie or something like that, that's fine. It literally tastes like fish. So it's up to you. But fish have the highest concentration of it. So if you can't do that, grab the gel pills, the ones that you can actually squeeze.
Okay.
Don't grab the hard version. Your body can't absorb what you think you're taking in.
Right. So it makes it a moot point if you are taking this dry substance that's not going to be absorbed.
Exactly.
You're just moving, going through the motions.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
When it comes to, I know someone who is plant-based, what opportunities or options would somebody who is plant-based have when it comes to fueling the mind so that we stay healthy mentally?
So what's interesting is typically a plant-based person will have a generally healthier brain than a person that's not. Only because people that eat meat, and I do, right? A lot of people do, but we tend to overconsume it.
Okay.
Right. So just as the omega 3 fatty acids in fish help your brain, a lot of the fats that are found in meat actually slow us down. So if you notice, it's almost like the itis, we call it Thanksgiving or whatever. You consume too much meat and you got this brain fog and I got to go sit down somewhere. I kind of want to take a nap, that type of thing. Right. So whereas fish, when's the last time you had a piece of salmon and felt like you had to lay down? Right. It doesn't really work that way. So the plant-based person, they're getting all the vitamins they need. They are still getting the fatty acids and things they need because vegetables do contain those. The challenge with them is for them to get enough of what they need. So a plant-based person tends to need to overconsume food versus a meat-based person. It's really the only difference. It's a better lifestyle, but a lot of times they can become anemic.
Right.
They can become low in certain things because they're eating their vegetables the way they would eat their meat. And you need almost 3 times more vegetables to get the equivalent of the meat.
Right. And vegetables will actually fill you up.
Exactly.
Speaking from the plant-based point of view. They fill you up. So it's just like, well, I can't eat anymore.
Right. Smoothies and salads.
Yes.
That's
I love salads at home. I very rarely eat a salad when I go out because I'm just like, well, no, I want to eat food.
Right.
I don't want just a salad. But yes, we love smoothies. We love salads. But we like to enjoy food. So we do a lot of mushrooms and things of that nature.
Okay.
But there is this connection between gut and brain. It's called the gut-brain axis. How does that influence mental health?
Okay. So again, the brain, just like every other organ in your body, can only function on the fuel you give it.
Right.
So it's almost like if you had a car, say you have a truck, it's a diesel truck. Go put 89 in that diesel truck if you want to. See how it runs, right?
Not so well.
It'll get there. You'll reach your destination. You might blow the engine on the way, but you'll get there. You'll sputter along the road. So the same thing with what we take into our bodies. And it's very simple, especially the older we get, right? When you're 15, 20, you can run on Taco Bell and your body acts like it's just fine, right, for the most part. Start to get up there, 30, 40, 50. Your body will tell you very quickly what is good fuel and what is not.
Right.
So a lot of times we make these things more complicated than they are. Okay. When you had those 3 McDonald's burgers, how did you feel? When you had a burger at home versus the burger at McDonald's, how did you feel?
Oh, way better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We know these things. We like to tell ourselves sweet lies so we can go do what we want to do. That's all it is at the end of the day.
Okay.
So
sweet lies.
Sweet lies. That's all it is.
Okay.
So I know how I feel when I eat fast food. I know how I feel when I eat real food. Right? That's your body talking to you. So we make up all these terms. The gut-brain connection is a real thing, but we're aware of it. We just don't like to really look at it. So just look at how your body reacts, and on an individual basis, everyone is different.
Yes.
So we can actually go down that road at some point if you like, but the whole blood type, how you consume foods, how it affects you. So there's eating well, and then there's fine-tuning even beyond that, where a type A and a type O person, there's some foods they shouldn't consume even though they're healthy.
Right.
Because it will adversely affect you. So everything you take into your gut will affect everything else in your body.
Okay. I love that. Thank you for that. Let's see here. So let's move into the topic of exercise and how that might impact mental health. In what ways does regular exercise activity help alleviate symptoms concerning stress, anxiety, and depression?
Okay. So a few things there. If you're feeling stressed already, exercise will definitely help you as far as, promoting endorphins in your body, actually sweating out toxins, which can affect our brain and our organs. But even if you're not experiencing stress, it's been shown just through tons of research studies, people that exercise regularly, your resting heart rate will be lower.
Okay.
So add that to a stressful environment, right? I'm coming in, say your resting heart rate is 68.
Okay.
Mine is 52, which is dang near deceased. But there are people that are that low.
Right.
If I'm at a 52 and you're at a 68 already, just moving through life, when you get stressed and I get stressed, whose heart is going to go through the roof?
Mine.
Probably yours. Right? I'm going to feel stressed, but I won't feel like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Right? It's just a little higher level. I notice it, and okay, cool. I'll probably come back down to my resting rate pretty quickly.
Okay.
A person that's not in good health already, when they're stressed, that negative just compounds, right? And so now you're getting into the 80s, 90s, 100s, 120s, 140s. So you'll literally feel like you're at an exercise level while you're standing still. You go to exercise on top of that, it's even worse. So really what you need to do is make exercise a regular habit so your heart can be trained to operate at a much lower level. It's a weird converse effect. But if you exercise regularly, your resting heart rate will come down.
Okay.
Because it's fit, it's in shape.
Right.
Now I can handle the extra things outside that come at me, or just the stress of exercise, period. Right? Your heart rate's going to elevate when you run. Your heart rate's going to elevate when you lift weights. So if you notice, a lot of people, when they go into the gym, you've heard stories of heart attacks or XYZ. That person went from 0 to 100 while already being in a negative state.
Got it.
Right? Forget your brain. Let's just start with the body. Right? Now, on top of that, the way your brain works, the way your mental health is set up, the more fit your body is, the more fit your heart is, the more fit your muscles are, everything's functioning in a good way. So your body's able and your brain is able to process everything that's coming at you in a much better way. So a lot of times we like to think about it just on the purely physical level. But if you look at it, it's being fit to me is being more prepared and equipped to handle whatever is outside of me.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
So it's like, even if it's a conversation with you, maybe it's not a fun conversation, right? You're going to feel those stress factors, but I won't be affected as adversely as a person that's not in a good place physically. Right. Which then also takes care of my mental as well. So it's just people in general, the people you meet that exercise and take care of themselves regularly, if you notice, they're generally more upbeat.
Right.
They generally have a more positive outlook on life. They can handle things a lot better. Their body is regulating everything that comes in and out of their system much better, and their hormonal levels are flat.
Okay.
Right.
That brings to mind, is weird that that this is what comes to mind. I remember Legally Blonde. When she was arguing the court case, one of her arguments was that someone who works out can't be a murderer, right? Now that was far-fetched to an extent, but what she was saying is that because of the dopamine, they're generally happy, so they're not in a murderous kind of mindset. So
it'll be hard to do.
It makes sense.
Yeah. If I feel good about life, it's hard for me to throw a dumbbell across the room. It's just not generally how that goes.
Right, unless they're taking some substances that make them rage,
still
you know.
worse.
But um, so, what mental health benefits are associated with like aerobics, yoga, strength training, all of those things?
Well, it's funny. We think of them as all different things, but they kind of promote the same things, right? So, yoga, strength training, aerobics. Obviously, aerobics, you're stressing your heart. You're going to get in much better shape there. You'll have your dopamine, you'll have your endorphins, right? You'll be able to regulate yourself better. Yoga, focus, right? Mental clarity, all those good things. And then strength training, same thing, just purely for your muscles, but also you get the heart additive as well, stressing that. All the hormones that you're producing when you go through those different exercises are going to help you regulate your hormonal levels.
Okay.
So to that point, when you talk about mental health, a lot of my client base are women that are either in the midst of, or postmenopausal,
Okay.
which we now know is purely hormones, right? It's all
Yes.
hormonal levels, and that's why they're all over the place a lot of times. The more they make exercise a part of their daily life, the more they're able to regulate their hormones.
All right.
Right? And it makes their experience that much better. So it's a lot of what we attack. So we think of menopause being this thing in a bubble, but we could throw that right into the mental health space because of how it affects people.
Right.
Right? So every person that exercises regularly will see a positive effect on their mental health and their day-to-day life.
Okay.
Right? To what degree depends on the person, but it will help. I've never seen a person start exercising regularly and like, oh, I got worse. Right? It doesn't really work like
Yeah, I
that.
don't think I've ever heard that
No.
either.
No.
How does exercise impact production and regulation of mood-related neurotransmitters?
Mhm.
Oh, look at that word, like serotonin and dopamine.
Mhm.
I really wanted to touch on the dopamine
Mhm.
because I know that is a big component of having being in a good mood. Right.
Right. Well, the interesting thing with dopamine is there are positive and negative conversations right now.
Okay.
Right. So if you're producing dopamine through exercise, through physical activity, that's producing it in a natural way that your body's looking for, and it actually helps you regulate the hormone. Right.
Okay.
It helps you regulate that. So it's almost like there are positive and negative things you could do with this, but pretty much anything that you become accustomed to, you create a base.
Okay.
Right. So again, let's go back to like the McDonald's example, right? There are people that can literally eat McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they don't get sick.
Okay.
How? I don't know. But they've been doing it so long, it's now what their body is accustomed to.
Oh, wow.
Versus if you or I
Oh no.
hardly ever eat it, go have that 3 times in a day, you're in the bathroom, right? That's how it's going to go.
I'll probably be on the floor.
Yeah, passed out, and looking sickly, right?
Right.
So dopamine is the same way, and serotonin and all those things. Fake dopamine or a fake source of it is what we're seeing now with all of the social media inputs that we have.
Okay.
Right. So when you're streaming down Instagram and
There's
Facebook,
dopamine.
then
Yes.
hit. But it's not coming from a naturally produced source.
Right.
Right. So now what's happening, especially with kids and adults too, there are a lot of adults stuck on Instagram. You're getting this rise and crash all throughout your day. Because it hasn't been produced in a way that your body regularly does it, you can't level it.
Right.
So you're basically, it would be like having M&Ms, a bag of M&Ms every 3 hours. You're going to go, whoop, and it's actually negatively impacting your mental health.
Okay.
Whereas if you get it from exercise and the way your body is designed to do it, it becomes a positive. You're never actually getting too much, right? When we get it from these false sources, we get too much, and then we take it away. And now we're looking for it again because you want
Right.
that rush, and now you're getting it through the screen.
Which is kind of like what happens to a drug addict.
Exactly.
Once they have a high,
Yep.
they're always trying to get back to that original high.
Mm-hmm.
And you can never get back to the original high
Exactly.
because it's never going to be that same experience because now you need to get higher than you did the time before.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Speaking of the drug and the effect on mental health, we won't name the documentary on this show because we don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
But there was a documentary made just a few years ago. I think it was 2022. Look it up on one of your favorite streaming apps. We won't name that either.
Okay.
But it's literally the people who designed Instagram, Facebook, all of those, designed the algorithms, will not let their own children use them
Right.
because they know what the mental health effects are because of the dopamine rush. So just like you said, how just like a drug addict, it's the
Right.
same thing. So there are things we can get from false places that won't be regulated that will negatively impact us.
Right.
If you can get it the right way, get it through exercise, get it through movement, and exercise could be literally a daily walk. You will get a dopamine rush from a daily walk.
Okay.
It's just at such a low level, it doesn't give you that bouncing off the walls effect,
Right.
but it's what your body needs.
Okay. You know, I have some friends who have worked in the tech industry, and because of that experience, their children don't touch tech.
Sure.
When you go to their house, all of their toys are manual toys.
Oh, wow.
You know, all of their toys are interactive without any type of electronic device
Right on.
attached to it, and like their eldest child is old enough to have a phone based off of what everybody else is doing, doesn't have a phone.
That's awesome.
And I
Yeah.
think that's the most awesome thing. But
Yeah.
it's because they worked in the industry
Right.
that they knew how it was impacting children, that they said, we're not going to allow our kids to go down that road.
Makes sense.
And
Makes sense.
there are a lot of articles and things coming out where they're suggesting that children shouldn't touch these devices before 5 years old,
Right.
because it has such an impact
Yep.
on how they learn how to regulate, how they respond to different levels of stress and things of that nature. So what you're saying is right on point with what's going on.
Right on.
So thank you for that. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about faith. You're a man of faith,
Yes, sir.
and that's what we're here for, Christ Talk. You know, we can't not have a conversation about faith, right? When it comes to faith and how our mental health is impacted, how do spiritual practices, when it comes to participating in a faith-based activity, provide a sense of purpose and positivity when it comes to, or how it pertains to, our mental health?
Okay. So if we're talking about things such as like prayer, meditation, all those type of things, people, and I don't find anything wrong with any form of meditation anyone does, not knocking anything at all. But even if you just took it as simply as, going through your scripture, meditate on the word day and night, all that good stuff, everyone needs an anchor. You need an anchor. So, and people find it in different ways. I completely understand that. But like you said, we're here for CHRISTalk. So
My soul is anchored in the Lord.
Thank you very much. So you need that foundation.
Yes.
You need that anchor, and then you can work from there. So put it this way. Without an anchor, to me, you're already going through life in a stress state.
Okay.
You have no foundation, right? So just like this building, if this building wasn't on concrete and it was just on loose sand,
Right.
it'd be pretty for about 2 weeks.
If
And
that.
then all of a sudden it's sloping and it's doing this and everything's cracking.
Right.
So to me, right, for me, it's the daily prayer, it's the daily meditation, it's the daily walking in the word, it's the daily talking to God, it's the daily all that good stuff. And then I can walk out my life from there because my foundation is set.
Right.
Right. So I'm already in a calm, peaceful state. Stressors do come, but just like I need to prepare my body, my spirit also to be prepared too. Right. As you go through. So whenever I have faith conversations with people, and whatever faith or denomination they may be, it's like, okay, my question is always this: the anchor that you do or don't have, a lot of times they don't.
Right.
But even if you say you have one, is that working for you? And that's the question for you.
Right.
It's really
Right.
nothing to do with me. Right. But is it working for you? Does it truly resonate with you? Is it something that's really giving you a firm foundation that you can walk out your life from? If so, great. Hey, do your thing. Right. But it's no different than being in the gym. You can wholeheartedly be in the gym, working as hard as you can and doing everything incorrectly and just waiting for that injury to hit or not seeing any muscle gain or anything like that. So no matter how sincere you are about something, if it's the incorrect thing for you, it's not going to work.
Right.
Right. And so that's generally the standpoint, the viewpoint I take on it is just, is it working for you?
Is it working?
And
for
are
you?
you truly peaceful in that state?
Right. So I think that is sometimes we have to do a self-assessment and really take inventory about what is and what isn't working,
Right.
who should be and who should not be in our lives.
Exactly.
All of those things,
Yeah.
right? I used to, and I don't have to do it anymore because my circle is what it is now,
Right.
and I've already removed
Mhm.
the low liars and all of those
You
things.
did all your
right?
pruning.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
done all of that. But I used to do an assessment like every 3 months.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, well, how is this person
Right.
contributing to my life?
Yeah.
Is there reciprocity
Mhm.
and things of that nature? And if it wasn't, then it's just like, okay, let's go ahead and let go of that.
Mhm.
They get deleted from the phone or
Okay.
erased out of the phone book, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
We have to really be intentional with our faith, even when it as it pertains to how we invest in our faith and then what we get from our faith. Like the scripture says, faith without works is dead. So while we want to trust in God, there is some work that we are expected to do.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the psychological benefits of belonging to a faith-based community, and how does the social support affect mental well-being?
Mm. All right. Many
So
ways.
now we're including
Many
others,
ways,
and it's
right.
not just the personal relationship, but it's that communal component.
Mhm. Well, it's funny. I mean, speaking of the day and time that we're in right now, I mean, look at the last 4 years.
Yeah,
Look at the spike in mental health issues just from people not being connected,
right.
right? And that's beyond faith community. Faith community takes us to a whole nother level. We're all
Right.
like-minded.
Mhm.
But just base connection, period. We're not designed for that.
Mhm.
We're not designed to go through life not being connected to others that share how we feel and how we view life and our relationship with God and all that things. We're not designed for that,
Right.
right? So otherwise, why would we assemble, every week? You could just stay home and do your own thing.
Right.
So it's if you notice, it's very interesting, even in my own life, and especially the last few years, right? Because it's been very different out here. But in my own life, it's one thing to have your prayer, have your meditation, have your daily walk, have your time. Those are absolute must-haves for me, right? But no person could honestly say that being in your room day to day with that would necessarily operate on the same level as being here or being in whatever gathering you're in with your other faith-based community where there's 100 of us, there's 1,000 of us, there's 10,000 of us, whatever it is. I've been in stadiums before, with people worshiping, and it's just the most awesome thing you've ever experienced in your life, right? Yeah. It's just awesome to have that. So it's very important, and I fully agree with you that we do need that connection with our faith-based partners and communities for our own well-being and for our mental health, especially right now.
Right.
Especially right now. There's so many things going on. Even though we're coming out of certain phases in society, no one's stuck at home and all that good stuff. But everything that's just going on in society and the landscape we're operating in right now, I would say it's probably the worst time to be on your own.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I definitely can attribute the loss of a loved one. She was 103. It was my great aunt. And she was thriving before everything went down. But once she was isolated, then we lost her. And now some people were like, well, she was 103. Yeah, but she was thriving. She wasn't she wasn't
Right.
a haggard 103. She was like involved and she was doing a lot. So I definitely attribute that to that. And I remember watching They Don't See Us, or When They See Us.
When They See Us, yeah.
When They See Us. And when they were chronicling his time in solitary confinement and how that impacted his mental health because of being by himself. He started hallucinating things of that nature.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see how being in a congregation or communion with others definitely has a positive impact, especially when you're with like-minded believers, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right, because we can speak to the encouragement side of it, but even go to the other side of it, just the checks and balances that we all need.
Right.
Right? Because even if I'm out on my own and I suppose I'm walking in faith, I can get too far gone in a certain direction.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? So, okay, I'm running over here now. I'm turning into a zealot and I don't even know it.
Right.
Right? I have no
Right.
clue. So a lot of times we need our community, we need our brothers around us. Like, hey, come on, man, I'm coming over here.
Right.
Think about even my early days walking in
Proverbs.
faith. It's just like,
Yeah.
there were 3 or 4 brothers that were like, okay, we're going to help you
Very true.
walk this out. So it's very important that we all have that. It's very important that we at least have people we can call on.
Right.
But that community, especially, and again, I'm stressing this, especially right now,
Mm-hmm.
there's just so many things when we talk about mental health, when we talk about stress. These things are happening so often in our daily lives now. We got the 24-hour news cycle,
Right.
whereas before you didn't know anything that happened in the world till at least the next day,
Right.
right? And by then it already happened, so you weren't really stressed about it. But now it's just we're bombarded with these things. So a lot of people don't even realize how stressed they are walking around in daily life. And then the bad thing is that becomes your norm, right? So now when it comes to heart issues and health issues and all this, you're operating at a negative level all the time. You don't even realize it.
Right.
And so a lot of times, say we're sitting here talking, if we know each other well enough, we've been around, you can tell when I'm off.
Right. Right.
You can tell when I'm not at my best. Whereas if I don't have you as a mirror, I may never see it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Proverbs 27:17. A man, like iron sharpens iron, so does a man sharpen his friend. So yeah, you have to definitely be able to check in with other people, and especially someone who knows you, because like you said, if anybody who knows me, they'll be like, okay, what happened? Some people would say, I think I've gotten better at it, but they say I wear my heart on my sleeve. So you can usually see what's going on, but sometimes you would never know. And how many people have we lost because we did not know that they were hurting, because we did not know that that smile was really a cry for help. Yeah, so I get that. So when it comes to prayer and meditation, how and even I would say even worship and praise, because all of those things they're at different levels, right? But how would those components impact someone's mental health?
Okay, so let's think of it this way. Let's think of prayer and meditation, if we have to equate it to exercise, along the lines of yoga.
Okay.
Right? So yoga would be more of whatever exercise you're doing along those lines would be more of a calming, be more of a creating a steady base, getting centered, getting focused. And so for me, that's what I would equate it to. So prayer and meditation is more like, okay, setting my foundation, getting nice and solid. And then your praise would be like your aerobics.
Okay.
Or if you're really, really wild, it might be your strength training, but it's
You
probably
haven't
going to be
seen me,
aerobics.
but yeah, I'm a little on the wider
You're a
side.
little all over the place, right? So that might be your strength training, right? So the prayer meditation would be more centering yourself, getting yourself in a good space, getting clear, having clarity. And then the praise would be more of the endorphins and the dopamine.
Okay.
Right? So you need both.
Right.
As we know, you need both, and you need to balance them out. And if you can do that every day, right? If you can do that spiritually and then you can do that physically, you give yourself 30 days, you'll be a whole different person.
Okay.
Yeah.
30 days. You heard it, people. 30 days. And one last question. What role does faith play in building resilience and providing hope during mental health crises?
Okay. So I would say, again, going back to that idea of an anchor,
Okay.
right? So if you're the ship out to sea and the storm kicks up, what's keeping you from toppling over?
Right.
Right? So if you can get that anchor set in the ground strong enough, you got a good shot. You got a good shot. We might be able to just weather the storm and wait for it to pass. If you're out there just floating, I have no clue how that's going to go.
Sea.
You know what I'm saying? So faith for me, especially, and just personal experience several times throughout life. Just without that, I'm not sure if I would have pulled through certain things. I'm really not. If I did not have my personal faith, not my grandmother's, not my dad's, not anybody else, my personal faith, exactly, to pull on, I don't know if I would have been able to weather those storms. So it's very important for people to have that for themselves, right? Because this life is what it is.
All right.
And this world is what it is. And we have to be able to move through this thing without letting it beat us back and forth daily, right? So for me, Yeah, faith is to the spirit what exercise would be to your body,
Okay.
right? And to me, spirit is the foundation of that. Like I said, without spirit, we're dead.
Right.
So if the spiritual side isn't taken care of, I don't care what you do physically, whatever stressors come, still going to throw you off,
Right. Right.
right? So yeah, very, very important we get that locked down and have that in order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, here we are. We're already at the end of this conversation.
Wow.
James,
That
thank
quick.
you so much for coming out tonight. How might someone get a hold of you if they wanted to utilize your services?
So two really simple ways. You can find me on LinkedIn at the Anti-Aging Coach. You know you're in the right place when you see a picture of me with the Anti-Aging Coach around it. So linkedin.com/the Anti-Aging Coach. Or if you want to call or text me, the direct number is 510-779-2891. And that's pretty much a 24-hour line. If it's the middle of the night, I'll get back to you first thing in the morning.
You got to have limitations and
Gotta
boundaries.
sleep.
Yes,
Gotta
yes,
sleep.
most definitely. Well, thank you once again, James. This has been another episode of Christ Talk. We pray that something was said during this conversation that will impact the rest of your life. So be bold, be boundless, be blessed.